button when you're speaking and turning it off, because then the amplification will set it to the other.
And they hear when you mumble under your breath if you leave it on. That's the problem with, yes, it's like, they hear when you sigh, everything. All right, everybody. I would like to welcome all of you to the regular scheduled meeting of the Human Relations Commission. This is not this is the minutes, sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing. Okay, regular scheduled June meeting of the HRC. We are meeting in council chamber. We have nobody hybrid that is on the commission, am I correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you so much. All right. At this time, I would like to do roll call.
Chair Smith,
Present.
Vice Chair Eberly,
Present. No, not here. Sorry. The tie.
Commissioner Cossey,
Present.
Commissioner Shea,
Present.
Commissioner Kraus,
Present.
Commissioner Savage,
Present.
Commissioner Stimler, absent.
Thank
Chair, you
you.
have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We have no attendees online, is that correct, Sam?
Not yet, sir.
Well, public comments the first thing. Okay. Well, if they don't sign up on time, I can't help them, right? 6:02. Amen. Do we have any agenda changes, additions, or deletions? We have done. Okay. I trust everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from our retreat.
I move.
Can we, mic on, please?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it was on. It was, sorry.
I move for the acceptance of the minutes for our retreat. Second.
Okay, properly moved and second. I will start. Commissioner Causey?
Aye.
Commissioner Shea?
Aye.
Commissioner Kraus?
Aye.
Commissioner Savage?
Aye.
Chair Smith, aye. Thank you so much. We have a unanimous vote on the minutes. All right. We get to talk about my favorite thing tonight. It is the work plan. I want to thank staff and especially Vice Chair Eberly and staff. They took all of our notes and they put them into a full work plan, this document. And I wanted to go through this. This will be our guiding document for the year. I'm going to put this to the side. I want to deal first with some commission assignments. And then we will get into the work plan because I think the work plan speaks to that. All right. Okay, agency liaisons. What we tried to do here was pair a veteran commissioner with a new commissioner. So we have for PD, Commissioner Savage and Commissioner Causey. For Avenidas, Chair Smith and Commissioner Shea. For mediation, we have Vice Chair Everly and Commissioner Stimler. For Project Safety Net, we have Commissioner Shea specifically for that. We'll talk a little bit about that. And for RB Dellis, we have Commissioner Kraus and Commissioner Stimler. There we go.
I'm the cough, I'm sorry.
You need water or anything? Again, what we tried to do here was I want to thank each of you for sending in your requested positions. We tried to honor them as best we could. And we also wanted to pair a veteran with a new commissioner. Unfortunately for Project Safety Net, because we were so down on commissioners, we didn't have a veteran commissioner to actually assign there. So staff and myself will talk a little bit about Project Safety Net with you, give you some direction, but it shouldn't be, it's not a terribly heavy lift, I think. Am I correct, staff?
Yeah, with this one, we kind of gave in what we sent out an indication of the possible or the expected attendance. Project Safety Net has a monthly meeting, but however you attend, if you can go once a year, twice a year, it's really up to you. Some people like to go to every meeting, but the expectation is just like once or twice a year.
Thank you.
Chair, I have one question. So since there are 7 of us, there could potentially be 3 people on each liaison, am I correct?
Yes, but we held off because we got a lot of other work to do.
Okay.
And I'll talk a little bit more as we get into his rap and some other things. Yes.
We're deeply disturbed that we're not going to be able to work together again because we want to on the police. We have formed a very strong partnership with the chief and with the staff. And if there's any way we could do that.
You will get to work together with the FBI staff.
What?
We didn't break you up for the FBI work. We did not break you up for the FBI work. You gotta give me when we get around the bend, you'll actually work together on some PD stuff.
No, that's okay.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about council buddies. We went with Bird for Kraus, Loing for Causey, Stimler for Lithgow Haynes, Shea for Tanaka, Venker for Savage. I will be with the mayor, and the vice chair will be with the vice mayor. We tried our best to do our first choices with people on that one. All right. Core responsibilities. His rap. We have Kraus and Shea. This year is not a funding cycle year, but I will be back for the funding cycle year. This year, Minka, do you want to talk a little bit about what's maybe possible?
Sure. So it is very possible that we will be receiving funding in next year's budget to be able to perform a human services needs assessment. That will allow us to assess the needs in the community, the gaps and the opportunities, and also to look at the way in which we are currently overseeing the HISREP program and see if there's opportunities for improvement. We'll also look at the priority of needs, which is currently quite wide, and just to be able to check with other communities what they are doing and what the consultant could pass along as best practices. So I see this year as Commissioners Kraus and Shea being working with me to set up the scope of services that we sent out to for the request for proposals. I appreciate that, and reviewing them when they come back in. I think framing this right is like one of the most key things we could do. And then also to be reviewing materials as it comes back in from the consultant. So,
when was the last time we did this?
the last time, we've never done it in my tenure with an outside source. Last time we did this was 2013, where we used the services of a summer intern and the work of a HRC subcommittee, of which one person basically wrote a 45-page report that the council thought was done by a consultant. So we were very lucky to save the money that time, but I think we really need we're kind of at an inflection point post-pandemic that I really think we could benefit from the services of an expert in really looking at this grant program, especially since at this point, it looks like the council will be authorizing $200,000 additional for HISRAP, which is a very generous addition to the program, and we want to be good stewards of that money.
I'll ask for interjection from more council liaison on HISRAP and the importance and her thoughts on it. I know she can't speak for the whole council, but she has thoughts.
Thank you so much, Chair. And I was thinking, oh, dang, Minka stole my thunder here as council representative. Just reporting out from the Finance Committee on which I sit. Minka's absolutely right that, and I'm sorry, I'm not calling you by your last name only because I'm not sure I'll say it correctly.
First name is good.
Is that a
Vanderswag?
Vanderswag, Ms. Vanderswag, reported it's coming out of finance with 200,000 over what was budgeted. We knew after having consulted with you that you had in your deliberations said if they give us an extra 50, we'll go to here. If we get an extra 100, we'll go to here. If we get an extra 200, we'll go to here. And there was unanimous support for going to 200 on the Finance Committee, and that is going to come before the council for a full review on the 19th, and fingers crossed it'll be passed. The other thing I want to add while we're on budget is we did have a conversation about how HISRAP got unpegged from the general fund and the imperative or the presumption that it would be a good idea to once again peg HISRAP funding to a percentage of the general fund, say 1%. So if that was the case this year, for example, the general fund for 2024, when I say this year, I mean 2024, is roughly $275 million. So that would be 2.75 million for y'all to work with if we do go that route. So there is definitely dialogue and furtherance of that happening, and we will keep you posted.
So HISRAP is a very important work that we have next year. It's going to be a big deal. And I think the actual work that we will do with the consultant will start justifying the consideration around the pegging, because it will define some of that conversation. So HISRAP is very important this year. CDBG will be Vice Chair Everly and Commissioner Causey. And emerging needs will be Commissioner Savage and Commissioner Stemler. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about our core stuff based on people's initial thing. Public safety, we will go with Commissioner Savage and Commissioner Krause. Climate change, we'll go with Commissioners Causey, Stemler, and Chair Smith. And inclusion and belonging, we will go with Chair Smith, Vice Chair Everly, and Commissioner Shea. We have some more. I want to really, now that we have some ideas of where we're going, we have some open items like our learning sessions around public health, community walkability, and seniors that were items on our work plan. But I want to go through each point on our work plan and figure out what our next steps are. Now that we've sort of pegged some names to some responsibilities, staff, I'll go back to the top of the report. So this format, as you can see on the second printed page where it says Project Goal 1, Core Responsibility. One of the things that I will do on a regular basis is actually come back to the work plan. I believe it is very easy to get lost because there's so much good and so much we can do. But what I found is having consistent focus, it allows us to be very impactful. And there's some stuff that we have to finish and finish well. And there's some stuff that we have to start on. So we already discussed the funding program. We dove in head first on the really, this year is usually a quiet year for our funding. CDBG is going to do has to bring us back some stuff with the consultants, and it's a great way for somebody to learn about the CDBG program. So we're excited about Commissioner Causey being there. His rap is central to what we're doing. It's really central. I believe that in the next few years, the services that we have to bring to our community, so that work is absolutely critical this year. But I think we have the right people on it. So our core responsibilities, I feel really good about. The one that I'm a little bit worried about is emerging needs. But I think that's more of a marketing issue than a actual funding issue. Like, I think if more people understood that there was a $5,000 to $10,000 to meet funding gaps in programs, more people would apply. So, or if we explicitly explain that it's not a 15-page application for everything else the city does, but it's a 2-pager. So I think we can do some stuff around marketing and emerging needs. So that's our first goal, which is our funding and really taking care of that. Number 2 is the inclusion and belonging. Project goal number 2. Okay. We have this AANHPI lived experience survey. We have 115, and 10 of those need to be translated, right? Okay. So we have to find somebody to translate from. Do we know what it is?
It's Chinese. I'm not sure.
What dialect?
I know about that, written could be traditional and simplified, but I don't know if it's Mandarin or Cantonese. I'm sorry, I'm not well versed in that.
That's perfectly fine, because I would have given the same answer you gave. So I think that's a good baseline. It's a good starting point, but I could already hear pushback. Because if we go to council or anybody else in a city of 60,000, where 34% of the population is Asian, and we have 115 survey results out of a possible 20-something thousand people, I think that thing carries no water. So I think the question for us, Commissioner Shea brought up some great stuff about some personal interviews or something in the July or August timeframe. Maybe we do some listening sessions that are specifically community targeted. We have to do something that when we deliver this to council, there is some gravitas behind it. So I really feel like that is a significant part of where we need to go. And I think I'll probably ask staff to convene a meeting between myself, you, and Commissioner Eberly, and say, how do we get this done so that by the time we get back in August, we have a strategy or strategies of getting personal stories, community listening sessions. Where do we need to go to dig this answer? And I think we can't tap out at 115. I also believe we're going to have to also start collating all of the answers. Who's doing the collation, staff?
It is in our Open Cities software. So Elena is exploring the software to see what kind of reporting it can spit out. Hopefully it has a functionality like SurveyMonkey that very easily does that, but she is looking into that. So and did you want the screen continue to be up, or did you want the work plan, or just
the work plan?
Just the work plan.
Mm-hmm. So I think we need to dig on that. I'd love to hear some other commission feedback. Shay, anybody else on the AA and HPI?
Just a concern, Chair, that is the agenda item number 2, so maybe we should hold that discussion till then in case there's anybody that wants to address it, or are you just speaking about division of labor right now?
Do we have anybody make public comment?
We don't have anybody in the meeting yet, but I'm just trying to look at procedure.
I will. What I will do this time is have us comment. This is discussion, not action, right?
They both are.
Okay, so okay, that's item 3. I'll hold it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. The other piece of this, and I've already talked to city staff, beyond North City staff about this one, is equity work partnering with the city on creating policy language and bias training for commissions. I think, how can I say it? I'm trying to be so nice. I sat in a meeting with the chairs of all of our various boards and commissions, all very nice people. All very nice people. You know, they obviously care for the city on some level because they're volunteering. But I think we as a city can equip those that serve on commissions, particularly chairs, with more language around equity, more language around speaking and looking at things from an equitable lens. It would be helpful. We don't have to agree on all policies, but maybe if we could humanize our discussion or how we present them, that would be positive. So I've already reached out to someone on staff, and hopefully we can move this ball forward. I think it is great to do it with staff, because I know they've done some work on the diversity inclusion internally with staff, but I think city commissions are an extension of the city, and I think it's so critical that that discussion happens. So, all right. And then we have the famous other projects as identified. I don't think the idea of inclusion and belonging can be limited to the 2 projects that we just described. So if something else comes up in the year, or we identify something from one of our listening sessions, we can go from there. All right. Okay. Staff?
Oh, did you skip over, or did you do that when I was busy doing?
Which one?
Number 3 and 4, did you?
I haven't even gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
I was just on 2.
Oh, because you skipped to, I thought you had skipped to number 6.
No, it just says other projects on their inclusion and belonging.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That shows you I cannot multitask.
Project goal 3 is public safety. Explore and implement avenues to decrease incidence of crime in the community. If the priority include hate crimes, human trafficking, online, targeted youth community conversation, training for local businesses and hotels on how to recognize and de-escalate hate crimes and incidences. We have already made some good work on this. I know Commissioner Krause has been through the FBI citizen training. I know Commissioner Savage has worked. I think we need to continue partnering with the FBI Civil Rights Unit to create programming that will be used in educational programming. I really like the piece that I think it was Commissioner Causey that highlighted it, training for local businesses and hotels and how to recognize and de-escalate hate crimes and incidences. And then we can start looking at other ways to talk about human trafficking online youth targeting and start doing some community conversations around these things, just because we believe they're very important. Any thoughts? Okay, cool. All right. Goal number 4. Okay, climate change. Explore ways in which climate change may disproportionately affect specific populations in the community, especially in the wake of recent flooding, extreme weather conditions, and power outages. Areas of priority include possibility of city fundings to help low income and vulnerable populations transfer to electric and smart meters, continuing partnership with the Palo Alto Student Climate Coalition research on the climate impact on vulnerable communities. I know that we need to set up a time to meet with that group.
Yeah, we have a tentative date. We're just waiting to hear back from some of the students.
Oh, what date is that?
I think it was June 16th.
Okay. All right.
I'll work with, I think I have been, but I will work with Janet on that.
I'm good. I don't know what I'm doing till the day of, so I'm good. All right. Just me, and who's on that? That's Commissioner Clausen. Okay, good. Again, I thought there was some, I think there was some great points brought up at our retreat where we talked about what do these changes look like as far as upgrading homes and what issues around that and what happens as far as climate justice and that. So I think beyond the student piece, there is more to talk about. I think New York City this week with the smoke showed us at how it can impact different parts of the population. Not everybody can afford a Dyson mask, right? So, all right. Number 5. This is where it gets interesting. We determined that we should do some listening this year. We wanted to focus in on 3 areas. Wanted to focus on public health. We want to do post-pandemic well-being, the work, personal loss, mental health, physical health, job loss of residents, a day of remembrance for those that lost their life to COVID or family members to COVID and their loved ones. The second one is the lack of community and walkability in South Palo Alto and other under-resourced communities with a focus on zoning, new housing elements, and a timeline for rebuilding complex of businesses at 3163 Middlefield Road. I think we have had a lot of conversation around the housing element, but I think the HRC is looking to say, what does that look like for human beings that live there? And how do you build community? How do you make it walkable? How does it make sense? So I think that's a great one. And then we have issues faced by seniors, including affordable housing, elder abuse, food security, and access to digital divide and affordable and reliable transportation. Given that baby boomers are going into their senior years, then that's a significant part of our population. And this is a significant issue. So let me define learning sessions or how they have been, or the different conversations the HRC has. We have, I think, 2 or 3 different conversations. We have what we call a learning session. So when we started doing hate crimes, we had the DA from the county of Santa Clara and a representative from the police. And I don't know how we got involved with the FBI, but we had them come to the meeting and they spoke and gave us information so that we as a HRC could determine whether there was A, something that was specifically for us in the conversation, and B, where we should go to next. We've done this on a multitude of topics, but I think it's a good practice to bring in subject matter experts, particularly helping us to define what the issue is, how we as the Human Relations Commission can add a specific thing to the conversation. Let me say that again. How we as a Human Relations Commission can add a specific thing to the conversation so that we as a commission are not duplicating work or doing work that is beyond our scope. Second kind of conversation we have is what I would term as a community conversation. We've done several of these. We've done them at Middlefield, at the library, and what's the art center is the other one. And we will do things like we did one on where we brought in 2 professors from Stanford around diversity and inclusion in the city and getting to know your neighbor. We've done them around LGBTQI plus parts of our community. We did one with vaping. And that's when we invite the larger community in, and if there's a learning, teaching, or discussion session. Yes, staff.
And also we did one on domestic violence.
Mhm.
And once we brought a member of Obama's staff down, and I think that was on veterans homelessness. And a commissioner had a connection as a former Obama administration staff member, so.
So as you can see, that's that next level of community conversation. And I think it's so critical for us as we start these learning sessions to say, how do we either recommend to council policies or moves, or B, how do we educate, teach, and deepen our community? So as we start doing that, so we have to assign out the 3 conversations. I know Vice Chair Durant was a big wanted to definitely be on the community and walkability. But she'll need help on that. We have one open for public health and for seniors. So I'll take volunteers on getting those together.
Yes, Chair, I'm interested in public health.
Okay, so Commissioner Shea on public health.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Krause.
I'd love to do. I'm thinking public health, but there was another one. What was 2?
2 was the lack of community and walkability in South Palo Alto, and the human elements of that. And 3 was seniors.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'd like to do 1 and 3.
Okay. So let's, yes, staff.
Is there some nexus to thinking that the liaisons to Avenidas, at least one or several of them would be on the issues facing seniors? Because I know when they go to Avenidas, they'll talk about the big survey that they just completed.
So we'll assign Commissioner Stimler to that.
I'm just thinking if there's some nexus to that.
You're absolutely right. And maybe we should have, is it Don?
Dr. Barr?
Yeah.
Dr. Barr, yeah, he's pretty involved in, they have a housing committee of just residents that meets at
Okay.
Avenidas.
You know, someone I sit with on the subcommittee.
Yeah, Dr. Barr is on the
Okay.
RV committee, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anybody?
Yes, I'm interested in 2.
Okay, so you will work with Vice Chair? Mr. Savage, any interest?
I think that. Of the 3, number 2 interests me the most, but I think you've got it covered with the 2 already.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. And I'll go to the last point. This is all for discussion. There are no votes tonight, but I'm going to allow for public comment if the person would like, but let me just go through the last one. Oh, so let me give assignments. So if you took a learning session,
Yeah.
my anticipation is that you and your partner and whoever figure out what our next step is by August meeting. Do we need to contact somebody? Do you already have somebody to contact? Do we have somebody we need to schedule? We want to make sure that we are moving forward on this so that it isn't there. So I will be asking the question at the August meeting. Okay, what's our next step? Who are we bringing in? Do we have any, like also we'll be really digging like what's like it to be more fleshed out along with expert, or you might even say, we did some more research, we need to go back, but this is what we found so far. Your staff.
I think you just covered that in an outline. I would just say a framework of what you're trying to learn. Obviously, sometimes what you set out at the onset thinking we're really trying to learn more about senior XYZ, and then the speaker comes up and then you learn about more issues as well. But if there's some kind of framework of what you're trying to learn, and sometimes in these learning sessions, we've had like a panel discussion. Sometimes these learning sessions have been, we had one learning session that lasted a year, and every year we had this high-powered person come talk about housing and homelessness, and it was incredibly informative. But if there's like I'm saying that you can consider a two-parter, like if you want to consider two key aspects of something, and it really wouldn't make sense for those speakers to be the same time. If the chair is amenable, then we could possibly consider it for more than one meeting.
I will let the research determine the time that is needed. If somebody brings back a strong case where we have to hear a panel or 2 or 3 different sessions, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. So don't feel that you're limited to one, but the depth of what you bring back will determine how far we go in. All right. And the final thing is the HRC has the discretion to act with respect to any human relationship matter when the commission finds that any person or group does not benefit fully from public or private opportunities. So let's talk about getting an item on the agenda. Staff, if I say this wrong, please help me out because I'm doing this from memory. Generally, if there is an issue that is new and we would want to make it a discussion item at a meeting, you would have to do it 2 weeks before. You would need to send 2 commissioners 2 weeks before, so that when we do agenda planning, we can include it on there. What we will do is a discussion of the item, and whoever is the sponsor of that item will get about 10 to 15 minutes to explain it clearly. We'll have a discussion, and then we will figure out where to go next. Yes, staff.
Yeah, I would say that that is I would just say the one caveat with that is if 2 commissioners are really interested in having something on the agenda and they have a speaker in mind, and even if they get it to the chair and vice chair and staff a couple weeks ahead of time, I think we'd like to know that it's what I would call like agenda ready, that it's been thought out, that it's at the point where it would be the good point to have a public discussion about it. Sometimes there's things that you're interested in bringing to the agenda and you know who you'd like to have come talk about it, but it really needs a little more germination and conversation before it would be agenda ready. So that would be the consideration once it gets to the chair and the vice chair. And I'm always willing to meet with folks if they're interested in bringing something to the agenda to talk it through. But I think for transparency, I think it's best to always bring an idea that you have in mind at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, we have posting requirements as a body. So the reason I'm saying 2 weeks is because we generally do agenda planning, and so our agenda is formed in 2 ways. At the end of every meeting, we will sort of go over agenda items that are in the air for us to follow up. So for tonight, I will add 2 or 3 items such as follow up on this, follow up on that, based on our conversation tonight. The second is agenda planning, where we go through and look at our project list and say, did any commissioner send us anything? Are there any items open on his RAP or CDBG or something else that needs to be addressed? Has council sent us something? And then we create the agenda from there. Then it takes, generally, we have the meeting Tuesday, Wednesday, staff sends it to us. We look over it and it gets posted 7 business days before the meeting. Am I right on the timing?
Some business, one week ahead of time,
Yes.
excluding the weekends, yeah.
Yeah, 7 business days ahead. So that's why that we have a 2-week time frame. It's not being pedantic. It's just so that we can have everything ready and understanding we have volunteers and staff is not at our beck and call. So we try to keep it in a way that makes sense for that. All right. All right. We have public comment.
We have one speaker, Mary Jane Thomas. Mary Jane, go ahead, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Sorry, I missed the beginning, but I guess I just wanted to make a general comment. Like, I'm really glad you're looking at all of these issues, and that I think, when we think about othering and belonging here in Palo Alto, I think there's so much more we can be doing. I think people are also really isolated and want to be connected more. And, I just wanted to plant the seed that, I think one thing is to kind of seed the creativity of the community by, there's a lot of vacancies right now. And I think there's a lot of potential for some creative, I'm working on one, but other creative gathering spaces, community spaces where we can connect and be together. We know, intergroup friendship is one of the best antidotes to othering. And so I guess I just want to plant the seed overall to think about how can the city do more and HRC to do more to support ongoing sustained community interaction beyond like a listening session. Like, can we look at revising the zoning code? For instance, it's really not hospitable to creative community gatherings and that kind of thing. Like, or are there spaces that are underutilized? Not everything needs to be a rental space. So I guess I just want to encourage some creative thinking and happy to give input on just getting us more connected to each other on a more ongoing basis would be amazing. I know we have some live music, but those are kind of big events, some kind of smaller opportunities for us to connect on a more regular basis with each other. So, and keep up the good work. I know you guys are all working really hard, and yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to mention to think about, ways to get people in Palo Alto or come to Palo Alto more connected to each other on a more ongoing basis through the spaces that we have, through revising zoning, making it a lot easier for us to gather with each other. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mary Jane.
Thank you. I usually don't comment after speakers, but I think she brought up some very valid points that we should really sit and think on. All right, I'd like to open up and let our council liaison, if she has anything to add to our conversation.
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you much. All right, do we feel like we have a marching orders? I did a lot of talking.
Commissioner reports, are you ready for that?
No, we have to one more item, then we do commissioner reports. We got one more item, then commissioner reports. All right.
Quick question for council buddies. What is the expectation again?
Staff.
I think the expectation is just to introduce yourself and see if the council member once a year maybe has time for a short phone conversation, or just to introduce yourself, letting them know you're a commissioner, if they have any questions about the commission or any they'd like to become informed about what the commission is currently doing. This is really something the HRC has done for years, and it just, for every council member, it's a little different. Some will go have the opportunity to go out for coffee with you. Some of you are just very well connected community members, and you see them socially and you just chat, and they'll say, hey, what's up at the HRC meeting? And I know some council members have office hours. I know Councilmember Tanaka does. So it's just very different.
What is the best way to reach out to the council members?
I would say using their city email. So it's first name dot last name at cityofpaloalto.org.
Any other questions? All right. Input on next steps for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander lived experience report. This is a discussion item. I will open up for public comment. There's no. All right. Commissioners, do we have any thoughts or recommendations moving forward based on the description I gave earlier? Yes, Commissioner Shea?
So Chair Smith, I just wanted to reply to your earlier question. I absolutely agree with you that follow-up is needed to the number of questionnaires that we received. And I'm happy to take part and spend, part of June and July in preparation for August, supporting you, supporting the commission in doing some public listening sessions, one-on-ones. Happy to meet with the subcommittee and discuss various options. Very willing to put some time and effort into that this summer.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Commissioner Krause?
I want to thank Minka, Elena. It was Elena who did it, for making the pamphlets, the signs available to us. I want to thank my fellow Commissioner Amy, who joined me in leaving them in every major business. You did California Avenue and I did University. And we had a definitive jump from under maybe 30 to 90. So I
No, to
want to
115.
commend my fellow commissioner and thank her.
Yes, I join you in applauding the commissioners for getting from behind the desk and pamphleting in the city of Palo Alto. So I appreciate that extra push, because I think Minka called us at the time and she said we were at like 15. It wasn't 30, it was like 15. So
we're 90.
So we are we have 100 more now than we did before. So your efforts were not in vain. My suggestion is this. I would like to set up a time for myself, Vice Chair Eberly, and Commissioner Shea to meet with staff. What I would like for us to do is formulate 2 to 3 next steps. And in my mind, I'm thinking personal stories, meeting with various community organizations at their meeting. So if it's a mom's group or some sort of community group, we go to them and have the discussion there. And then, leave room for some other level of creativity in there. But I think the model has been set that we are going to have to go and knock on the doors and sit in the meetings and be present. So, okay.
Every Friday, karaoke, Coverly Community Center at the Avenidas Chinese Community Center. So
I can't sing. I'll hum.
In addition, there are trade associations that have regular meetings from the various Asian populations that cover the Bay Area, like APAPA, which is founded in Sacramento. And if you would like some additional information on whose door you should knock on, please utilize me as a source of info.
We can definitely do that. We'll probably have staff reach out for that, just so that we don't get Brown acted on.
That's why I said it the way I said it.
Yes. All right. Any other items to add to that?
I will just also add to maybe consider incorporating the data from California Healthy Kids surveys that has really good demographic breakdown of what different youth communities are experiencing in Palo Alto in terms of like how discrimination is impacting their mental health, et cetera.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you, Commissioner Kelsey. All right. Anyone else? All right. All right. We are at commissioner reports. I'm actually going to do staff report first. Because I think it's important that we hear about Monday night and the impact, the rental stuff. Thank you, staff.
Yeah, no, I wasn't prepared to talk about that. I sent it out on Tuesday morning, but the council did go with the staff recommendation, which was one of the renter protections that was requested to come back to them. And I'm going to have to remember in my head that
It's 6 months, not 12.
it went
was
from
6 months.
There is the ability when it comes back on consent to that someone would receive protection if it was 6 months and not just 12 months.
Correct. It was
Correct.
for no fault eviction.
No fault
And
evictions.
reducing it from having to their
Yeah,
residence.
residency standard of 12
Exactly.
months down to
Which-
6 months.
Which is
And obviously, Councilmember Lithcott Hames was front and center.
Thank you so much. Let me just add that I think procedurally what happened is y'all met to discuss these things in close proximity to our meeting. And as a matter of a noticed agenda, we weren't able to get the results of your recommendations into our noticed agenda, into our staff report, right? So we were not able to incorporate it. Your recommendations are very valid and appreciated. Just as a matter of timing, we need to, if we're going to discuss the recommendations that you came forward with, we have to properly notice and agendize them. So we were able to kind of address this issue of 6 months being the minimum time someone has had to have lived in a rented unit in order to be avail themselves of the no fault eviction protections. And we can have confidence that that's moving forward and will be on the consent agenda in our next meeting, or maybe in 2 meetings. But what I think the overarching point I want to offer is gratitude that y'all did the work, and we're really looking so thoughtfully at renter protections. Whatever we manage to vote on Monday night is not the sum total of what will be discussed by council about renter protections.
Thank you. And just so that I know, Commissioner Eberly, Vice Chair Eberly, and Commissioner Krause will finalize the report by the end of this month. So knowing the time frame of the city, and some new commissioners are going to look at me like I'm crazy, but if they finish in June, we will probably talk about it. They'll probably get to council in September. So there's a holiday. Then you deal with the regular busyness of their calendar. So it usually takes anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks to get on calendar based on what else is on their calendar. So whatever the rest of our recommendations will be probably September the earliest.
staff, can you clarify? I thought we finalized the report.
You did. So what the chair is referring to is your report is finalized. Now what
Correct.
needs to be done is when the HRC brings recommendations for the council, the usual practice for the HRC is that staff writes an overarching introduction report, and then the HRC writes a memo which speaks to the process in which they took to formulate the recommendations, and they lay out their recommendations. So it's a staff report with an attachment with a memo.
Did
So
we
what the
not
chair is
do that?
referring to is we need that memo to write that lays out what the recommendations for the HRC were. And it's kind of like you would take the majority of what you put in report number 1 and report number 2, and then stick the recommendations on them.
That can be easily done. I
Yes.
did not know we had an additional work item. We'll do it.
Okay, yeah, it had been
Immediately.
communicated to the vice chair, so yeah.
Yeah, we discussed this during our retreat. I guess but great work from Commissioner Vice Chair Eberly, Commissioner Krause. They really did a phenomenal job, and I think council member, when you guys get it, you will be impressed with the depth and the thought outness that they put into it. All right, staff, since I put you on the spot, is there anything else you want to report?
Not at this time, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner, so we have new commissioners, so I'm going to explain. As the deeper you go into your commissionership, you will do things. For example, we talked about Project Safety Net. If you go and attend the Project Safety Net meeting, we report it out in commissioner reports. I went to Project Safety Net. This was the meeting. It was a good meeting, and they talked about these 3 things so that the commissioner is aware. If you do anything in community as a commissioner, such as, for example, I attended Avenidas' big fundraiser and got to meet, 6 or 7 amazing seniors, and was there with our community. That's something that I would report out, even though, because I'm still representing in that role at that time. So at this time, we will have commission reports. Commissioner Krause.
Yes. I was going to talk about renter protections. One thing I'd like to follow up with staff is that Vice Mayor Greerstone and I had an ongoing dialogue about neighboring cities. And particularly, I'd like to review the notes that we got from Mountain View so that he's got them fully in his notebook for going forward, because that's the nearest neighboring city that has implemented many pieces of our renter protections and how they've financed it and what the revenue model is. And you were kind enough to bring us a member of the Mountain View staff that was so insightful to the vice chair and myself, because there is a way to pay for this. And we can discuss it later, but that's the ongoing dialogue with the vice mayor. Okay. Now, another issue just for public information, resulting from the FBI Citizens Academy. They have agreed to come into a nonprofit for girls called She Heroes and do a podcast and a learning session on human trafficking.
Where's She Heroes located?
sorry?
Where's that nonprofit located? Are they in city? Where's the nonprofit located?
It's located in the city. I'm the chair. I'm located in the city.
Okay, good.
And we have our offices are virtual, and the founder works in the city.
Will this be open to the public, or will it?
Yes,
Okay,
completely open to the public. It's on Sunday, June 25th at 2 p.m. And if you message me, I will get you the invitation and you can RSVP. Moreover, we thought this was so important in our discussions that a full podcast will be developed and distributed to schools, teachers, administrator, parents all across the country. So I thank you for introducing us to the FBI
Mhm.
and for us to have that resource available.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing to that. The speaker, her name is FBI Special Agent Marty Parker, who is very prominent within the sex trafficking, human trafficking world. And she's just an encyclopedia of information. So that she has agreed to come on is huge, really.
It's phenomenal.
So, a few things. First of all, amazing. I just think it's absolutely amazing. Is there any flyer, social media thing that we can share with churches, schools, PTAs, so that we can get those, at least in our local community, engaged?
I will have that developed. That's
Okay.
an excellent idea. She will be our she-hero that day, Special Agent Marty, as she loves to be called. And we'll have an audience if people tune in, and plus the distribution we'd love to share
Okay.
with the city.
So we'd love to get that distribution. I'm pretty sure there are people in PAUSD that want to hear this. I'm pretty sure there are local churches and other spaces that want to hear this. So if you can get it to staff, I think as long as staff can share it to us, I know that there is already several different community lists that we can share this with.
And it'll be on the website as well, www.sheheroes.org.
That's great.
And
Yeah, I'm on there right now. So the event is on the website or?
no, not yet.
Okay.
We're meeting this Sunday to discuss the wording, the messaging, everything that goes
Okay.
up.
I'm reading your nice profile on the website.
She's done a lot, hasn't she?
She has.
There we go.
Nice picture too.
There we go. All right. So we're excited. Hopefully by middle of next week, after your team has come together, we can get this blasted far and wide. I knew we had the right people for public safety. Thank you both for the great work you're doing. All right. Any other commissioner reports? Yes, Commissioner Cussy.
I wanted to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. I know we recently had a Pride flag vandalized in the community, and as a member of the LGBT community, I know how jarring that can be, and I just wanted to acknowledge this month as one of love and celebration, especially for the LGBT youth in this community. I attended the affordable housing documentary, A Decent Home, at the Palo Alto Library, where Councilmember Lithcott Hames and Vice Mayor Stone heard from a lot of community members in need of affordable housing and renter protections. And last meeting, we talked a lot about, and today as well, about building community in South Palo Alto. And there's currently a mural being painted on California Avenue. I will be painting it tomorrow, and there will be a tour of it tomorrow at
Which
5.
one? Is it the blue one or the flowers?
Oh, I think there's going to be many. I think
there's one there. They look beautiful.
Yeah. So should be fun. My one follow-up question was, I was wondering what the organizations that we are liaisons to, is there a reason that it's those specific organizations? Does that change throughout the year?
So the HRC throughout the year has created a lot of different relationships that are connected in different ways. So, for example, Palo Alto Mediation, we vote on their mediators, and we, for example, for Project Century, we go to their meetings. Each of these are just intricate relationships that we've developed with some very specific organizations over the years. So, for example, for PAM, we're part of their bylaws. For others, they have sought us out or we've worked with them. So these are just very specific relationships that we've developed over the years. So they don't rotate. You want to say something, Steph?
I think some are consistently always there, other than if there's a connection or they represent a large demographic in the community, such as Avenidas. But I think that's something at the retreat that can come up, if people are interested in other relationships, other liaison relationships.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Speaking about, yes, staff.
I actually remembered something I should have
Okay, go
talked
ahead.
about, and that was the affordable housing fair that was, I think, 3 weeks ago on the plaza. It was, I think, a pretty big success. It was held during Affordable Housing Month. We had probably 10 to 12 exhibitors from housing organizations, from rental protection groups, from groups that help those that need affordable housing, like food, et cetera. We had probably a couple hundred people show. We were hoping for 100, and we got a couple hundred. And there are even folks there an hour and a half early because they wanted to be the first one to talk to the housing authority. And the difference about this event, it wasn't just to come and get a flyer. We told our exhibitors that people had to come away with something other than a flyer, that we wanted them to be on a list, if there is a list, and so forth. And we're really proud that we were able to pull it off for our first time. And thank you. Commissioner Kraus stepped by, so thank you for that.
All right. I'll give my commissioner report, then I'll ask for a council member. This month, I had the opportunity to attend Avenida's large fundraiser. Really just blown away by the activity and the amazing work of some of our seniors and the legacy they have left behind. I was grateful that somebody I know really well, Loretta Green, was one of the people that were acknowledged at this celebration. So it was just a phenomenal time. It was great to see so much of our community. And it was a very big reminder that we have a significant senior population in Palo Alto. Not as much as we innovate, we cannot ignore those that came before us. So that's my report. Councilmember.
Thank you, Chair. I forgot to identify myself the first time I spoke. This is Julie Lacott-Hames, Council Member Liaison. Still new, still not necessarily getting all the protocols correct, but glad to be here. Really, when we think about liaison and buddies and things, if I just may turn the tables for a second, I was delighted to be assigned to the HRC, and my approach has been to show up whenever possible and engage and listen and just look for linkages and possibilities for connection. And so for those of you who are new to the HRC and trying to figure out your council buddy relationship, as Ms. Vanderswag said, sorry, I have trouble with your last name. I'm working on it. Reach out and see what they want. And I would certainly personally welcome far more than once a year. I would welcome once a month. Just check in on what's going on. What do I need to know? What do you want me to know? That kind of thing. So I encourage you to reach out right away and go from there. Two aspects of my report have already been addressed, the HISRAP funding and the renter protections. So let me just add conceptually, what I'm learning as a council member is that interdisciplinary thinking gets us much farther than siloed thinking. And I think the HRC folk get that probably better than many others, because you know that humans are a part of everything the city does, and that some humans are more privileged and more seen, more centered than others historically, and collectively as a community, as a state, as a nation in the century, we're trying to be so much better about figuring out who's not seen, who's been underrepresented, who is not contemplated when we discuss this issue. I think you're uniquely positioned to always bring that lens to whatever the issue is, and then tell the city council, tell staff, what it is that you feel might be being overlooked, or what it is you think needs to be drilled down into and better understood. I think we're counting on you to bring that particular lens of inquiry. And I can't speak for everybody, but, I welcome it. And I think many others do as well, if not all. And then very practically, we're having a neighborhood town hall this Sunday. This is a relatively new structure put in place with city staff, city council, and neighborhood leaders to try to bring the city on the road 4 times a year to address neighborhood concerns. So we've grouped all of the Palo Alto neighborhoods into 8 groupings. And so in a 2-year cycle, every grouping will be visited once. So the next grouping is this Sunday. It's this Sunday, the 11th of June, 3 to 5:15. It's a bit of a social start, 15 minutes of social. So the agenda starts at 3:15. We'll go to 5:15 in the Pally Big Gym. And the neighborhoods being centered are College Terrace, Ventura, Mayfield, Evergreen, and Palo Alto Central. Those aren't the only people who are welcome to attend. Everyone's welcome to attend, but those neighborhood leaders have met with city staff and city council to let us know these are the big issues on our mind. And so those concerns will be, or those topics will be addressed first, and then there'll be a wide open Q&A. And there are 3 city council members who will be present to answer questions and to listen. And those 3 people are Ed Lowing, Vicky Vinker, and me. So it's the 3 new council members going out on the road and for the first time in this type of format. So we welcome your presence. If you've got something you want to share, or you just want to be present as 100 to 200 residents share what's on their mind. I went last quarter, and I just stood in the back and observed. And it was a way to get a different glimpse of our city. See who comes, see what's on their mind, listen to the tone, get a sense of the energy in the room and the vibe. It's a great way to get your finger on the pulse of the place. So if you can come, we would love to see your faces there. And that's it for me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Attending these city events is a great way to meet and connect with people, and great way to hear the city. All right. Commissioner Causey said it earlier, but this is Pride Month. Let us know and celebrate our siblings this month, because I think it's absolutely so critical in the city that we acknowledge and love everyone. Everyone. And maybe next year, as we start lining up for the different months, the HRC can really figure out how we can speak to these months from, I think we did decent, we didn't hit any this year, but I know COVID slowed us down, but maybe there are ways and acknowledgements and things that we can do around months. So thank you. Meeting's adjourned. Yes.
You want to do
Agenda planning, and I'm sending you all right now the link to the town hall meeting on Sunday. But agenda planning, did you want to just share the 3 items we come up with already?
Do you want to?
Sure. So it will be coming back, the planning department will be coming back with the answers to the questions you had regarding the ordinance for the rental protection program. The hope is possibly to have one of the first listening sessions and to be reporting back on the AA and HPI survey and extra work. That's what we had so far.
We had the listening sessions?
Yes, first listening session, if it's ready.
No.
If you're comfortable with that.
We need the commissioners to report back on how far, even if we're not ready on them.
Okay, so you just want to report back on
No,
listening?
if we can have one, great, but at least the 3 areas have some level of reporting on what the process is, so nothing gets lost in the sauce.
Right, and a reminder, there's no meeting in July.
Okay, well, everybody enjoy your summer travel. You will not see me in August. I will be in Europe, but the vice chair will be here, and she does an amazing job. Everyone have a good day. Bye.